God says they're getting emotional because it's now clear to them that you've genuinely changed the direction of your life. You chose to move forward rather than stop and complain. You have prioritized your self-respect. And now you don't want to look back and get caught up in the things that used to weaken you. Because you now have a clear understanding of your own importance, your boundaries, and your true worth. Your focus is no longer on past hurts, old arguments, and those who took you for granted, but is entirely on your future, your peace of mind, your progress, and the new opportunities that are opening up for you. And it is this new mindset that is making you stronger from within, so that you can make better decisions for yourself each day and move forward without guilt. There's a new poise and confidence in the way you walk, talk, and carry yourself. There is peace in your eyes now instead of fear. There is calm on your face instead of exhaustion. And people understand without being asked that you are not the same person you were because your thoughts, feelings, and perspective have completely changed. This is clearly reflected in your entire presence. Now you're taking better care of your body and mind. You feel stronger inside than ever before. And because of this, there's a positive, steady energy in your presence that people can feel for themselves, because you no longer walk with stress, fear, and insecurity. Instead, you move forward with balance, confidence, and clarity of thought. You didn't look back because you knew that all you would find there were the same old wounds, the same neglect, and the same unfulfilled hopes that were weakening you time and time again. And you no longer wanted to return to a place where your peace, your self-respect, and your emotional well-being were being slowly eroded every day. That's why you knew it was essential to choose yourself. It wasn't an easy decision to cut ties, because you're a deeply connected person, but you were breaking down inside day by day. You were losing yourself. And you realized that if you didn't stop now, you would drift even further away from yourself. So, to protect your mind, your feelings, and your peace, you took this difficult but necessary step to rebuild yourself in the future. They were certain you would give in, as you always do, that you'd be calling them repeatedly, making excuses and belittling yourself. But when you stayed silent and kept your distance, that very silence became their greatest response. For the first time, they saw that you could save your self-respect without making a fuss and move on with your dignity intact, without having to prove anything to anyone. They were expecting you to try and fix things again, to apologize and say it was all just a misunderstanding. But you had realized that this wasn't a one-off mistake, but rather a pattern of behavior. And that realization stopped you, because you no longer wanted to lie to yourself, nor did you want to return to that same pain. They had never even considered it, that you had the strength to walk alone, without support, without begging anyone, without repeatedly proving your worth. But when you trusted yourself and quietly went on your way, they realized that your greatest strength was your self-reliance and your habit of standing by yourself. They thought you were far too attached to them and couldn't live without them. But they had no idea that your relationship with yourself was just as deep, that you could look after yourself. You can understand yourself and carry on with your life with balance and peace, even without any external support. Because you have now learned to take responsibility for yourself. They used to think that their presence was essential for you to be all right, that without them you would fall apart. But now they can clearly see that you can smile on your own, make your own decisions, and live a balanced life without depending on anyone. Because you've learned that true stability doesn't come from the outside, but from within. Now they understand that you aren't weak, but have become incredibly strong on the inside. Because you haven't left your happiness in anyone else's hands. You've taken responsibility for it yourself. And that's why your decisions now are born not of fear, but of self-respect and clear-headedness, making you more stable and self-reliant than ever before. They feel the desire to return because no one could ever fill your place. They're now realizing the emptiness that was left behind after you left. You weren't just present, you were genuinely connected. And now that that sense of belonging is gone, they're understanding what they've lost and why their life feels so incomplete. They can never take your place because you weren't a facade. You never wore a mask in the relationship. You were just you. Honest, sensitive, and genuine, and that's what makes you different. because these days, very few people know how to connect from the heart without any selfishness and how to truly see it through. You stood by them when they had no one. When there was no one to listen, you supported them unconditionally. And that is what is hurting them the most now. Because they didn't appreciate that genuine support. And now that it's gone, they can see their mistake clearly. You never kept score of what you gave for them because your love wasn't conditional. You gave from the heart. You were understanding and supportive, and you asked for nothing in return. But now that you've pulled back, they're realizing that such a genuine and selfless support doesn't come around again in everyone's life. And that's what's bothering them the most. If they ever needed anything, you were there without a second thought, day or night, even if you were exhausted yourself, because their peace of mind meant more to you. And now that that unconditional support is gone, so they are realizing what a dependable and genuine person you were, someone they took for granted. You were the one person in their life who stood by them without wanting anything in return, without any expectations, and without any selfishness. And this is what they are realizing now. Anyone can come close, but not everyone connects on a heart level. And when a person like that leaves, the void they leave behind cannot be filled by words no matter how hard they try. They thought that because you were quiet, you would put up with everything, that you would never stand up to them and would compromise every time. But they didn't understand that being quiet isn't a weakness, but a limit. And when that limit is crossed, a person quietly walks away without making a fuss. And that's what's bothering them the most now. They were confident that with a little praise, some sweet words, and a bit of attention, they could win you back. But they had forgotten that you have changed. Now, you won't let your self-respect be compromised at any cost. And that's why you won't be going back. Because you've learned that true peace lies not in the mercy of others, but in the decisions you make for yourself. One day, you realized quite clearly that things were getting worse instead of better. And you were breaking down inside, keeping yourself in such an environment where your words were worthless. So you made a promise to yourself that you would no longer stay in a place where you had to keep convincing yourself of your own worth. You didn't make a hasty decision. Instead, you repeatedly tried to reason things out, gave them chances, and each time held out hope that things might finally change. But when the same behavior was repeated after every new opportunity, you realized that the problem wasn't a misunderstanding, but one of mindset and habit. And so quietly moving on was the right path. Every time you tried to reason from the heart, you were met with even more coldness, distance, and neglect, which slowly eroded your trust. And a time came when you realized that constantly taking the hits wasn't love, but an injustice to yourself. And in that moment, you decided to save yourself. Now it's clear to them that you're truly gone. This time without looking back, because this wasn't a decision made in anger. Rather, it was a decision taken after much thought and consideration. And that's what frightens them the most, because they know that a person who has made a decision in peace doesn't come back. Now, they just watch you from a distance, waiting for you to make the first move. But they don't realize you're no longer in that phase where you felt the need to prove yourself. Because you've now understood that a true relationship is one where respect isn't something you have to ask for. You will never go back to picking up that same old burden again. Because you have worked so hard to find your peace, self-respect, and stability. And you know full well that to take back the things that broke you from within would be to betray yourself. That is why you are looking forward without a shred of regret. Your mental health is now better than ever, because you no longer have to spend every moment apologizing or proving yourself. You feel lighter, your mind is clear, and for the first time, you're realizing what peace feels like when there's no pressure on your heart. You can see the changes in your body too, because when the mind is at peace, the body begins to heal itself. Stress, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion no longer consume you from within. You can breathe more freely. You're sleeping better and feeling more alive and strong. You've now set clear and firm boundaries in your life. And these boundaries aren't about hurting anyone, but about keeping yourself safe. Now, no one can easily take your feelings, time, or trust for granted, no matter how close they are. The new people who are now coming into your life treat you the way you deserve, because your energy has changed. You make it clear that respect is the only way forward, and that's why the only people who stay in your life now are those who truly value you. If this message has shown you the right guidance in your life, type Amen. May God bless you. Have a good day.